Hi, boys and girls. It's Mrs. Farrell. I'm the math coach at Pleasant Hill, and I'm going to do a number talk with you today that requires you to think about placing decimals on a number line. I know that you're starting the year off with some decimal work, so we thought it might be a good review for you to think about where decimals might go on a number line. So I'm going to go ahead and make a number line here to start. I'm going to label it as 0 at the beginning, and we're going to go all the way up to 1 whole. Okay. Now, when we're working on number lines, it's always helpful to have those benchmark numbers in mind using 0 and 1 whole, but also 1/2. 1/2 is also an excellent benchmark for us, whether we're trying to order decimals or fractions, or we're just trying to place them on a number line. It's a great way for us to organize our thinking. So what I'm going to ask you to do today is think about where you would place certain decimals on a number line. So teachers, you can go ahead and pause the video when it's time to let your students have some think time and listen to their thinking. And then you can come back and see what I might have done myself. So the first decimal we're going to look at today is 5/10. So I want you to think about where would you put 5/10, the decimal 5/10, on this number line. Again, you can go ahead and pause the video here, share your thinking with your teacher, and then you can come back and listen to what I would have done. So here we go. If I'm thinking about 5/10, I know as I think about 5 and 10, I know that 5 is actually half of 10 because 5 plus 5 equals 10. So that tells me that 5/10 is actually going to go directly on my half. It is the same. It is equivalent to 1/2. So when I think about my benchmarks, not only is it closest to 1/2, it is actually 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and label 5/10 here on the same place I've labeled 1/2, which means that 5/10 is actually equivalent to 1/2. And as I think about how I might be able to write 5/10 another way, I thought of fractions, and I thought 5/10 is actually taking 5 out of 10 pieces. So I could actually write that as a fraction like this, 5/10, a numerator of 5 and a denominator of 10. So 5/10 is actually equivalent to 1/2 when we're talking about fractions as well. All right, the next one I want you to think about is 1/10. Think about where you would put 1/10 on this number line. Again, you have some time to think about it, share your thoughts, and then you can come back to the video. All right, so as you thought about 1/10, hopefully you were thinking about your benchmarks of 0, half, and 1 whole, and where it might fit best, what it might be closest to, what it's less than, what it's greater than. You can use those benchmarks in different ways. As I was thinking about it, I thought, okay, 1/10. That doesn't sound like that much. To me, that's only taking 1 part out of 10 total. That's not that many. So that tells me that 1/10 is going to be much closer to 0 than it is to 1 whole. And if 5/10 was my halfway point, and now I only have 1/10, again, that tells me it's not even very close to that halfway mark. It's much closer to my benchmark of 0. So I'm going to actually choose to divide my number line up into tenths, because that's what I'm talking about here is tenths. And just like fractions, decimals allow us to take a whole and break it up into parts. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with my number line here. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 parts. And I'm breaking them into pieces. I'm taking that whole, breaking it into pieces, and now I just need 1/10 of that whole. So that 1/10 is actually going to go right here on my number line, on my first tick mark here. And as you can see, that's a very small portion of that whole. If I were to write that as a fraction, I would again use my numerator and my denominator of 10, and this time I only had 1 of those pieces. So I have 1/10, 1/10. So I'm going to go ahead and write that 1/10 is equivalent to 1/10, but just written different ways. One is a decimal, one is a fraction. Then the last decimal I want us to look at here is 9/10. So again, take some time, think about where that might go on this number line. All right, so as I looked at 9/10, again, I was thinking about my benchmarks of 0, 1/2, and whole. This time I had 9. 9 is very close to that whole, right? If I have 9 out of 10, that's very close to having 10 out of 10 of something. So 9/10, my guess is going to be closer to that whole on this number line. And remember, I broke up my number line into 10 parts. So if I count them out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I think that this is where that 9/10 is going to go. All I need is one more tenth, and then I'm back to, or I'm all the way to my whole here. So 9/10, when I think about that as a fraction, I can go ahead and write 9/10. Go ahead and write that up here as well. 9/10. 9/10 is equal to 9/10 in fraction form. So that's where I would put those decimals. Hopefully you had some good discussion in your own classrooms. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Thank you.